So just give it like 1, 2. I think we are live. Let me hit record. So there you go, man. We're live.
What's up, everybody? I'd like to welcome you back to the Real Talk with Real Estate Investors show. And boy, do we have a special guest in store for you guys today. Miss Rachel Scheer. You might know her as an international fitness model, a health and nutrition expert, social media influencer with more than 260,000 followers, lifestyle coach, and public speaker. Gosh, she's really accomplished so much, and we're so happy to have her on today to share some of her incredible tips and secrets to living a healthier, fitter lifestyle. Rachel, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. It's some crazy times we're in right now, so I'm definitely excited though to come on this show amidst all this COVID stuff going on. Talk a little bit about health and wellness, but yeah, thanks for having me on.
Definitely. And you know that this is the prime, exactly like you just said, the prime opportune time to have you on. I mean, right now there are so many folks throughout the world that are just panicking about their health, and they're scared and they're intimidated with what's going on. And I know that you can really help these folks out to kind of work through some of the problems that they might be facing and help get their health exactly where it needs to be so that they can make some business moves and some other power moves. So we're really looking forward to you sharing your information with us today. So Rachel, I want to kind of take this back just a little bit before you kind of go into some of your tips and secrets. How did you get started with all of this?
Oh boy. Well, I went to Baylor for nutrition and dietetics. And getting into nutrition was a little bit interesting because I actually grew up very unhealthy. I grew up in a home where I lived off of like fast food, McDonald's, stored Halloween candy. In all honesty, I didn't have a whole lot of parental supervision growing up. So I grew up very, very unhealthy. My father was actually mentally ill. My mom was very absent. So I had to raise myself and my siblings and I at a very young age. So I never really had health as a strong foundation in my life, but I was also an athlete. I was a gymnast and I was a dancer. So I was always interested more in the athletic performance side of things. So when I went off to college, I was interested in that healthcare side, athletic performance, and that's what led me to get into nutrition. Now, when I went to Baylor for nutrition and dietetics, I kind of wanted just to go the typical route that most people go. I did the 4-year degree, I graduated, and immediately I worked for actually 𝗥𝗲 Hospital in Fort Worth. And it was what seemed to be like this prestigious job. Turned out to be not really all I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a whole lot of one-on-ones. I was actually sitting in the basement most of the time, reading patients' charts. I wasn't actually with the children, which is I love kids. And I was really excited about that. And it just really wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be. So that is sort of how my entrepreneurial journey began. I never did very well working for other businesses and practices. I was never really super motivated to work for other people. I love nutrition, and I always knew that that was something that I wanted to help other people with. So meanwhile, I'm working for 𝗥𝗲 Hospital. That doesn't really work out. I end up working for a physician's private practice for a while. And in the meantime, I have my side hustle going on. So I'm creating this social media following. I'm just doing what I love ultimately. So I was posting nutrition tips and workout videos and recipes and funny fitness memes on the side and just giving a bunch of free information on honestly just what I love to do. It didn't feel like work to me. And eventually, while I was working my other jobs, everything that I was doing with building my own business and my brand soon to become bigger and bigger. I began to be approached by people wanting to work with me, like for fitness modeling. I was competing, people wanting me to coach them. And it was then that I realized that I could actually take what I was doing and do it full time. So that's what led me to ultimately start my own entrepreneurial business, where now I have my own nutrition practice where I do one-on-one. online nutrition coaching as well too. So that's really what got me started into what I'm currently doing. Thought I wanted to go more to that traditional route, but I don't know. I feel like that entrepreneurial spirit was just something that was engraved in me since I was a kid.
For sure. You know, it was the same way with me. You know, I went and did the 4-year route. In fact, I got my degree in television of all things and went straight from there to sales and circled around and ended up being a business entrepreneur as well. It was always there, sitting there. So how long ago was this that you really started to kind of gain that following and that traction and so forth, and move into your own business?
So I opened my own nutrition practice towards the end of 2017. It probably was full up and going by the beginning of 2018. So honestly, it hasn't been that long that I've been kind of on my own doing everything, but it feels like a lot longer for me because of the fact was I started everything that I was doing while I was in college. Like I started my social media and I started building that audience and that trust way back when, way before it really was even a business for me. So a lot of people, what they do is they create this business, you know, and then they say, okay, now how can I market and how can I make sales? You know, I kind of had this different approach. I said, hey, I'm going to just, you know, I have my other jobs, but I'm going to put out as much free information. I'm going to help as many people as I can. I'm going to show people what I'm passionate about. And it wasn't a job for me at all. And that began to grow organically because I think, honestly, people can see through that stuff.
Sure.
Right away. Like if I were to walk out of like right when I created my social media platform and was like, buy this supplement, you know, and just trying to sell them on like coaching or whatever that may be, it wouldn't be where it's at today. But I think because of the fact that I had such a long time, probably it's been about 7 years since I've been able to grow that social media, and it's been very organic and people have been able to really like watch my story and watch the evolution of it. That's what led to more so the success of me being able to do what I do today now with my platform.
I'm glad that you're sharing that because I think that's a great example for many people, not only in the nutrition industry, but across any industry, about how important it is to take the time to build your brand and build your company. There's nothing that's going to happen overnight, right? So I'm glad that you're sharing that because it's a great example that things take time, like things that are worth it, and a good business is going to take time to build. So I'm glad that you're sharing that with us.
Absolutely. And you led with value first, you know, and you know, really started pumping out that value to your audience and getting that interest built up and getting that following built up before ever promoting a product, like you said, or a business. You know, the business became almost secondary, even though it was intentional and there was intentional moves being made. You know, you put out that value first to your audience and kind of built up that following that way. What are some recommendations, you know, or are there some certain steps that came along the way, you know, with you specifically on how you were able to grow that audience fast?
I would say first and foremost, it was just being real and being organic with everything that I was doing. I wasn't trying to be anybody else. I wasn't trying to, like, there's so many fitness influencers out there. There's probably a ton of people doing real estate, you know, with their social media. And if you try to mimic someone else, I mean, you're just going to be the second best, or, you know, you're just going to be a mimic of somebody else who's doing it so much better than you. So what is something that you bring to the table that is completely different, that is going to separate you from everybody else? So I think one, just being organic and authentic to your own brand and what it is that you want to get across is going to be very important. And I think just building that trust also with your audience, which comes from being organic, of course, and putting out that authenticity. So like every post I'm doing, it's not just straight up, you know, fitness tips and tricks. Like I like to have a variety of things. I like the people to feel connected with me. So I'll post pictures of like me playing with my dogs. I'll post pictures of things that I'm cooking. I'll post pictures of me going out to restaurants. And then yes, I'll post ebooks that I'm selling, and I'll post nutrition tips and workouts, and I'll try to mix it up so people really feel like they get to know me and they build that trust in me. But I would definitely try to figure out what it is that your niche is too. You know, I think we try to be the best at everything, and what it is that you really want to hone in on and finding that audience as well too for that. For example, you can try to please everybody out there, but then you're just going to be mediocre at a bunch of small various different things. Or you can try to be the very best in one specific thing, in one industry as well too, where you may not be able to grab the attention of everybody, but the people who are your audience, they're going to be your tribe. They're going to be the people who are really like, oh my gosh, I want to hear what this person has to say. It's kind of like this podcast. The people who are actually going to tune in and listen to this, there are people who are like highly engaged. They're your tribe. They really want to learn about real estate and what it is that you have to say versus, if you were just to talk about everything under the sun, may not be, or even from a social media aspect, it just may not be people who are really, truly interested, in what it is that you're doing with your business.
So it sounds like you're pretty intentional then with the post that you're putting out and the content that you're putting out. Is there a specific time of day that you would recommend posting in a specific topic? I know a lot of folks kind of teach, okay, in the morning, post something motivational. Around noon, post something that's super funny. In the evening, post something that invites them into your life. Do you do something like that? Or is there like a different schedule, as far as posting?
I wish I had a schedule, in all honesty. I try to post in the morning, and I found that I have the best engagement around breakfast time. When people are, sitting down and they're kind of getting their day started, that's when I found that I have the most engagement with where my audience is based out of. But I do think it's different for everybody, and I don't think it's going to be the same all across the board. So I think that just requires everyone to do a little bit of research, which is great now with social media. You can look at the analytics as to, what posts that you did at what times did the best, and kind of getting some information based off of that on what times are better for you to post. So those are some things that I did. I found like between 9 and 11 was the best time for me to post. But I post probably once a day, and in all honesty, if that. So I just try to pick the best time, and I also try to focus on value over quantity. I would rather post about 4 really, really thoughtful, in-depth posts that people are going to get a lot out of, and that was it for the week, than 20 posts that were just kind of like bullshit.
You're right. Absolutely. Now, of those posts and that content that you're putting out, is there a specific amount of, how often do you bring your business into what you're posting? Is it every time? Is it maybe every 4th post? Is there anything?
I think when I bring my business in directly, this is just a guess, probably about 25 to, maybe 30% of the time. It's not a whole lot. But what I'm talking about, if I'm talking about health, if I'm talking about, fitness, I'm not like name dropping, like come join my coaching, come buy my ebook, but I am still promoting my business because I'm giving myself credibility with everything that I'm doing. Oftentimes when I just give people some free information and giving them value, people are smart. They'll do their research, and they don't want to honestly feel like you're trying to sell them, because I think when people feel like you're trying to sell them, they're less inclined to buy too. If you're like, buy this. But if you're like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I did for my client. It worked really well. This is what I'm doing. I'm really passionate about it. People are going to do their research. I mean, if you have this is why you need to have your links on your social media, to your website, to then your products, and they'll go and they'll find that information if you can draw them in with what you're talking about. So I think, it has to be relative, of course, to what your business and your brand is and what you're trying to sell. But I definitely think that the majority of your posts shouldn't be just direct sales posts.
You're right. Absolutely. You don't want to be that guy that's constantly shoving stuff down people's throats. That's the quickest way to lose your audience, right? And so you're right. But
I've unfollowed various influencers in my industry because every post was about buy this protein powder, buy this, and I just was like, they're just a giant ad, and I'm just uninterested now.
And I mean, he's great. Everything you're doing, I think that's a great example, like I said before, because there's a lot of people, especially in the real estate world, that they just try to pitch their product. But I think the education towards their audience is the most important part, especially during these times, And I know that you teach people about health, and I know that you have a lot of experience working with other business owners, right?
For sure.
what is the main point that you teach business owners, and why is important their health in within their business?
Well, I think it's even relative to everything that we're going through right now with COVID. You know, same with business owners. We've realized that if we don't have our health, nothing else matters. You know, this is why I talk about your health is your wealth. And oftentimes we think of wealth as something that's money, monetary, but it's not. Your wealth is, it's different for each person. It's honestly an opinion for you. So your wealth could be, yes, it could be excelling in your business and your brand and having energy, you know, in order to do that, to be able to think clearly, stay focused, you know, all of those things are going to be applicable. Maybe it's to be able to play with your kids, you know, to be able to play football with them outside, jump on the trampoline, take them on trips. Maybe that's your wealth. Maybe it is being able to be confident in your skin with the way you look. So your wealth is going to be a very individual thing, but no matter what, your wealth is impossible without your health. So I think like why I'm saying this is really applicable to even COVID is because we realized like everything else that we think is so important, like the business and, you know, going out and all these other materialistic things, if we don't have our health, if we get sick, nothing else matters. So I think that's why, it's because our health is our foundation, and far too often we take it for granted. So if we want to be able to excel in all these different areas in your relationships, in your business, in your mindset, you know, be able to travel and do the things that you ultimately want in life, your wealth, you have to have your health as a foundation. You have to take care of yourself. And, you know, even health is sometimes confusing to really understand too, because health isn't just, you know, the way I look and nutrition and exercising. I mean, I think health is also, it's your mindset as well too. It's your relationships, it's boundaries, it's, you know, it's your community. It's a lot of different things, you know, so it's kind of like if you've ever heard of the statement, like you can take your vitamins, you can, you know, eat healthy, but if you don't deal with everything going in your head, you're still going to be unhealthy. So really, I just think, like I was saying, like your health is just going to be the foundation for you to excel in all these other areas. I've never met somebody who's been truly successful who was not in good health. Never in my life. You've met people probably who've made a lot of money, you know, but I don't consider that to be successful. I consider success to be something that you feel at peace and you are thriving and you're honestly happy with everything that you're doing. You're able to live the life that you want to live. Like money is just a means of exchange. The money itself doesn't make us happy, but the money allows us to live the life that we want, to have maybe the home we want, to be able to take the trips with our family that we want. So yes, it's essential, but true success, you know, we're not going to be able to achieve that if we don't start with just our health in general. So, you know, that's the advice that I would give to anyone, honestly, yeah, anyone, business or not, just that how important our health is for all of those things, if any of those things are important to you.
And I couldn't agree more with you, Rachel. And one of the things that I would like for you to share with your audience, because right now we're in a little bit of a different world, you know, and you know, as we were talking about earlier, you know, all the fitness gyms are closed. You know, it seems like here in Dallas, you know, they're closing all the parks down. They don't want you going there. What are some things that folks can be doing at the house or, you know, in their backyard or, you know, somewhere within their quarantine zone, you know, that they can do to keep themselves either, you know, to get started, you know, for the folks that have not been exercising or used to exercising and lifting and things like that before, or, you know, the folks that are looking to maintain, you know, what they had going before. You know, what are some tips that you can give those folks?
Yeah, so I actually went on Good Morning Texas last week, and they asked me a very similar question. They were saying, it was a little bit differently phrased, but they said, for people who haven't really taken care of their health or, you know, ate a very good diet, can they still do things to boost their immune system? And I said, yes, like you definitely can do things. You can start right now to change. Like the past is in the past, so there's no reason to hold on to a lot of those different things to build anxiety, all of that. But what we can do is move forward. And right now is the best time to do that. And I think it's been a wake-up call for us all in a lot of different areas in our life. Yes, of course, health, like we need to take that more seriously, because when things like this happen, who are the people at risk right now? They're the people who are immune compromised, which yes, that may not be their fault, but they're people who are in bad health, people who are overweight, who've been smoking, who've been drinking. The people who in a compromised health states are going to be at a greater risk. And it's been a wake-up call for taking our relationships more seriously as well too, the people that we have in our life. So I think right now is the time, we have the time to focus and to get serious about these different aspects in our life. So, a lot of people are running to the grocery store, and hoarding a lot of these processed foods. They're like, okay, all the shelf-stable stuff, they're loading up on the ramen noodles, they're loading up on all the chips and all that stuff because they're like, it's not going to go bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can buy some good, I bought frozen salmon. I brought frozen vegetables. You can buy fruits. You can buy a bunch of different healthy options to help support your body right now. When it comes to nutrition, I take a whole foods approach. So if it comes in a bag or a box, it's probably not going to be the best option for you. So if you just eat real food, we really don't have to overcomplicate it. So if there's one tip that people could start doing now for their nutrition, it would be honestly really simple. Eat real food. Eat real food, unprocessed, unrefined, get, high quality protein, fish, get chicken, get, grass-fed red meat, even if you like that. Eat a ton of plants, all the vegetables, eat the rainbow of them, eat tons of fruits, even healthy fats like avocados, healthy cooking oils, olives, olive oils, and if their diet is based on that, that's going to do tremendous wonders. For one, if they're trying to lose weight, help them with that. But reducing inflammation, it's going to also help them with promoting their immune system with all the nutrients that they're getting as well too. So with the COVID going on, we found that it causes a lot of inflammation in the body. The same thing with most chronic illnesses we get, it all comes back to inflammation. So one, we want to keep inflammation low in our body, and then we want to keep our immune system up. So nutrition is going to be the best defense for that, and just following a whole foods based diet. And then also too, the workouts. We don't have gyms right now. I haven't been to the gym for the last 2 weeks, but I've gotten in a workout honestly every single day. And I think we were saying this before we got on the podcast, but if you're looking for an excuse, you're going to find an excuse. There are tons of different ways that you can move your body without being in a gym right now. This week, it's actually been beautiful here in the Dallas area. I've been going for tons of walks. I've been taking my dog. You can do something as easy as that, just some type of movement. Personally, I bought some bands, some resistance bands for myself that I've been using. So I buy the big loops, where I can also add in some type of resistance training along with it. So something quick that I'm doing most days is I'm doing a 30-minute walk, and then I'm doing 30 minutes of just some type of resistant workout with my bands. So that's a 1-hour workout. And if I can do that 5 days per week, and maybe do something still movement-wise on the other 2 days, I won't even have missed a beat. So right now, as I said earlier, is the time to really get focused in our health and in our business and all those other areas too. We have the time. So we really need to take advantage of it right now versus just sitting back, scared, fearful, and sitting still, which is what a lot of people are doing.
Time to create new habits. And I'm glad that you mentioned all of this, because I know a lot of people think that because they're not overweight, or they don't have any chronic disease, or they don't smoke or drink, they think that they're healthy, but that's not the truth. You can still look good on the outside, but if you don't feed yourself with the right nutrients, you still can have a compromised immune system, right?
Definitely. And I think even right now, health too is our mindset, like I said a little bit earlier. But how many people right now are just has so much anxiety and is so fearful and depressed because one, we're alone right now. It's scary. We're in isolation. We're not allowed to be within 6 feet from a lot of people, except for probably your family. So it's a lonely time for a lot of people. So I'm sure people are depressed. They're losing their jobs out of this. A lot of people, this is the largest pool of unemployed people in history that we're having. And then not to mention the anxiety that probably most of us are facing. So I think taking care of our health too our nutrition and getting outside movement. I mean, all of those things are going to help with decreasing anxiety, depression along with it. And also, if keeping going, like don't stop, don't sit still right now. It is not the time to sit still and do nothing. Now is the time, if anything, like people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I am reevaluating and re-expanding in all the different areas of my life, my business. Like, yes, I'm like everybody else. I've taken a hit. I work with a lot of clients one-on-one in person, not able to do that right now. So I'm sitting back and saying, what projects have I been wanting to do for so long that what is always our excuse? I don't have enough time. Well, we have all the time in the world right now. So now I can finally work on those projects. I can reevaluate my current business model and, I can plan ahead. I can do things like podcasts. There's always things that you can do. You can read books. You can expand your mindset. You can learn a new skill. There's so much that we can be doing right now for our health, for our mindset, for our business. So, I just want to encourage people to look at it along those lines. Like, yes, this is a scary time and it's unfortunate of everything that's going on, but this also, we have to look at the silver lining. And I think it's also going to have a lot of positives. And I think the people, at the end of this all, you're going to be one of two people. You're either going to be like coming out of a cave. You're going to be like, what the heck has happened? What have you all been doing during all this? Or you're going to be coming out and being like, let's do this. Like I've been working my butt off and like, I'm ready to go again. So we're either going to be one of those two people at the end of this.
And you're so right too. And I know that one of the things that Ryan was talking about to us the other day, Ryan Stewman, is that, the best time or the best opportunity to do anything was 6 months ago. The second best time is right now, and I think that a lot of us, I know Pedro, myself and you, we're seeing this as an opportunity to get ahead of the game. And we've been preparing previously up until this moment, for something like this to happen so that we knew exactly how to excel past it, And so I know with my business and Pedro's business as well, we're pivoting every single day, every single day there's something new that's coming out and it's causing us to have to pivot just a little bit. But there's also, for every problem that's out there, there's also a solution, and we have to be encouraged to find and go for that solution. It's there, and we just got to keep moving, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I would like you to probably expand a little bit more, and I'm glad that you brought it up about the mindset part, because we already talked about exercising and taking care of your health, but I think for the most part, being healthy is your mindset, right? So what are the main things that you are educating your audience or your clients when it comes to mindset? What's the best practice to keep a healthy mindset and even change at this point their mind,
Yeah. I mean, our mindset is our reality. There's nothing more to it than that. I mean, what your thoughts are and what you think on a daily basis is your reality. Essentially, that's what it is. So, if you're filling your mind with things that are negative, that are thoughts of the past, that are regret, that are, getting down on yourself, past traumas, I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult to be productive and to honestly move forward. You're living in the past as well, too. When you have that sort of a mindset, it's a very toxic mindset. But I think, when we're living in abundance and we're thinking about the future and we're excited, when we're in a very creative and inspired state, we feel really good and we feel very grateful. So it's kind of shaping our mindset for that second. So there are certain things like I do on a daily basis to ensure that I have that mindset, and I'm human. I fall into having a poor mindset at times where I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxiety. By no means am I excused for many of that, but there are things that I can do to ensure, and that people can do to ensure that they're consistently staying the direction that they want to go. And ultimately, it's going to lead to them having more fulfillment in abundance in their life as well, too. So the first thing that I can honestly say is the most important is going to be your morning routine. I call this a keystone habit, and keystone habit is actually a term that psychologists use to define the one thing that if you change will change a lot of other things in your life. So that's going to be your morning routine. And I think right now where everything's, not the normal with COVID, maybe we've fallen out of a morning routine. But things I like to do in the morning, one, I've recently got into meditating. And that's been something that's been very powerful for me. You know, some people meditating can be a little bit scary, and I know that, but meditating can be a lot of different things. It can be journaling, you know, it can be reading, it can be, you know, just reflecting, it could be going for a walk with yourself, anything that you can do, honestly, to just focus your mind on the day ahead, in all honesty. So I like to have some period, about an hour in the morning, where I'm really tuning into the things that I need to get done today, how I want to have this, you know, how I want to experience this day. So more than just the things I want to get done, like, how am I going to feel today? What are the things I'm going to do? You know, how am I going to act today? So if you're someone, let's say, who's angry all the time, what are the things you are going to do, and how are you going to act? You know, what are you going to feel today is along with it. So I really try to shape that during my meditation, my morning walk, or maybe journaling in the morning. Some other things that I like to do, of course, I eat a good healthy breakfast, you know, starting out our day on that route. Sometimes I'll get in a workout in the morning, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll do some reading, but I try to have some type of a morning routine. So for me today, even though I didn't have to go into work, I didn't have clients, I still woke up, I did my normal meditation, I took my dog for a walk, I did some journaling, I had my breakfast. And then when I was able to actually start diving into my work, I felt incredible at that point. I felt inspired, I felt ready to go and to just tackle my day. So your morning routine may look different, and it's probably going to be different for everybody else. If you have kids, if you don't have kids. And the biggest excuse that I get from my clients is, oh, well, you know, I have kids that, you know, and I have to do all these different things, I have to get them off to school. And, you know, we can wake up a little bit earlier, you know, if it's that important for you, and it's going to honestly change your mood the rest of the day, if it's going to increase your productivity for the rest of the day. I mean, to me, I think it's worth it if you could wake up a little bit earlier. And it doesn't have to be, you know, a full hour, and you can start with 30 minutes. But I think the most important thing that we can start doing is just developing that morning routine and keeping that consistent.
I couldn't agree more. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is sometimes you do a little bit of reading. Is there a particular book or author that you would recommend, you know, folks maybe diving into, or maybe even like a podcast or, you know, something like that, somebody that you listen to that helps get your mind right? I know for me, a lot of times I listen to 𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀 in the morning.
I love his podcast.
He really, you know, helps me to start the day off right and, you know, to kind of stay positive throughout the day. What is it for you, or is there something that you could recommend to our audience that they should check out?
So speaking about meditations, I'm actually been reading a lot of Joe Dispenza's book. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he talks a lot about the power of the mind. So he has a couple of books that I've read. One is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and one is called You Are the Placebo. And the reason why these is so cool, because kind of going back to what I was saying about how our mind and our thoughts create our reality, you know, the placebo effect is essentially the same thing. You know, people have gotten on, you know, antidepressants thinking they're on or got antidepressants, quote unquote, thinking they're on that, and they felt a million times better. They didn't actually take anything, but why are they feeling so much better? And it was all because of the power in the mind and what they truly believed. So it's really cool because it dives into how we can shape our thoughts and our mindset to get the things that we ultimately want in life. If we want to feel a certain way, if we want to achieve a certain goal with our business, with a relationship, you know, maybe it be with wealth, whatever it is that you're doing, how we need to shape our mindset in order to get aligned with what our goals are. And it just goes into the power of the mind, why meditation, active meditation, and just daily meditations are going to be helpful for you getting to where you want to go. So yeah, Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, my wife is reading which is the one that you mentioned first from Joe Dispenza?
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah, that's the one that she's reading, and I think she's only 3 or 4 chapters in, and is already changing her life. I'm waiting for her to finish so I can start reading it too.
Yeah. I read it twice. I liked it that much. And if you like 𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀, he interviewed Joe Dispenza on 𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀's podcast, I think twice even. So you should definitely check that one out.
I love it. And you're absolutely right. You know, the mindset's the most important thing. You know, if you change your mind, change your life. I know that You know, like I said, I listened to 𝗥𝗲 lately too. We had Rachel Scheer on last week, by the way, for our guest. And one of the things that he was talking about is trying to make, you know, remain certain in an uncertain environment, right? And so lately I've been kind of really deep diving into some of his content with the affirmations and so forth. And man, I tell you what, you know, it's people, you know, that are not currently doing that, you know, they might laugh and think it's silly and whatever else, but I'm telling you that if you start doing that and you start just really focusing on getting your mind right and recognizing the fact that, hey, listen, some shit's going to happen every day. You know what I mean? No, you're going to get blindsided by something somewhere along the day. And it's important to be mentally prepared so that whenever that does happen, that you're able to push through that obstacle. And so I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Most of us actually do affirmations on a daily basis. We just we're not even conscious that we're doing it. How many times have we done something and been like, oh, I'm so stupid. You know, I'm not good enough. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. I mean, those are affirmations in of themselves. So
right.
really it's just shifting our mindset from, you know, all these negative affirmations to, you know, all these positive affirmations. So you imagine how you feel after you've said, oh, I'm stupid. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. You're kind of subconsciously saying those things in your mind. Well, when you shift it, and then you start saying all these positive things, I mean, your mood changes instantly because, again, your thoughts create your reality and how that you're feeling, which ultimately creates your personality as well, too. So, yeah, definitely. I love that. I love 𝗥𝗲 outlet 100%. I think it's great.
He's awesome.
One of my favorites, too.
We're hoping to maybe get him as a guest on here one of these days as well. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to keep reaching out for sure. So one of the things I'd like to ask you, I know that you've spent some time talking to some real estate groups and so forth. And obviously everything up until this point is 100% applicable to everyone. Is there something that specifically though, that you share with your real estate groups that might be any different than something that you might share with a different industry?
Honestly, not a whole lot. I mean, when I'm speaking to people in real estate, it's going to be similar to along the lines of probably more of my entrepreneur journey, some of the things that we touched base on at the beginning, how I created my online following, my business, my brand. You know, one thing I talk about is I actually started my nutrition practice. Like, I wouldn't call it a nutrition practice at the time. I started doing consults in a Starbucks. So not a lot of people realize that. They're like, oh, you just rented out a space and started doing nutrition practice. I'm like, no, by no means did I do that. I was seeing people in a Starbucks. So I just made do with the means that I had until I was able to take it to the next level, the next level. So I think, you know, the biggest message there is so many people wait to get started. They say, you know, everything has to be perfect. They have to have the perfect location and everything to be aligned the way I want it to be. But in all reality, things are never going to be perfect. You just need to get started. So, I mean, that's what I did. I started doing consults in Starbucks. And because, you know, I was so focused on giving my clients the best results that I could and on them, you know, my practice grew actually, even with my social media, basically from word of mouth, because this person was like, you need to meet with Rachel and she needs to help you. And then the word kind of got out. I'm over in McKinney, Texas. So McKinney kind of like, who do you go for nutrition? It's Rachel. So then at that point in time, I was like, okay, I just can't keep meeting my clients in a Starbucks you know, all day long. So that was when I really, you know, actually opened my nutrition practice. So a lot of the stuff I talk about, you know, at business kind of masterminds or whether it be for real estate is probably about that. You know, it's about you know, building your business, building your brand. And then sometimes where it's more for health related, I'll dive into a little bit more of the specifics of, you know, of diet, what, you know, are some different nutrition recommendations, you know, how we can, you know, even for business, how we can increase productivity through nutrition. What are some things that we can be doing on a daily basis? The mindset, of course, is applicable all across the board as well, too.
And I love what you just shared too, is that, you know, I think a lot of folks from the outside looking in, they look at somebody like you or somebody else that's seen a lot of success in their industry, and they think that it's always been that way. You know, they only see what they see, and they don't see what's behind the curtain, and, you know, the pain and the trials and tribulations and the hard work and the other things that come along with this. But I think you're living proof to a lot of folks that are listening to this show right now that have wanted to make that jump, that have thought about getting into real estate or thought about getting into housing flips or thought about getting a wholesaling or whatever, but they never made that move, you know, because they thought, well, my situation's different. Well, the truth of it is, you know, that most successful people started with nothing, and there was some sort of pain in their life that kept them, you know, that basically, you know, kept them motivated and kept them, you know, moving. And so what would you say to somebody right now that has that mindset that's saying, okay, well, my situation's different, or maybe they're fearful, or there's risk, or there's an uncomfortability there, or whatever? What advice might you give to them to just say, hey, screw it, dive in, make that jump and go for it?
You know, there's always going to be a risk, and we want to always be smart too. We don't want to take any, you know, unnecessary risks that we need to do it. But I mean, right now, the way I look at it is, what is going to ultimately lead you to having a fulfilling life? So you can do your job right now and probably be satisfied, you know, with the money that you're making, but not truly happy. But what is the life that you're ultimately trying to create? And at what point are you really going to dive into that? Because most people get to the end of their life, and, you know, the number one thing that they say is, oh, I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have taken these risks. And, you know, it's also being okay with the unknown a bit as well too. And I think a lot of us struggle with the unknown, even right now. I mean, this is why everybody has so much anxiety. It's the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And in my life, some of the best things that have ever happened to me came from being in the unknown, because in all honesty, if it's something that I can predict and I know that's going to happen, it's nothing new. It's a routine. It's the same old, it's the same old. So the things where I had no idea that I was gonna escalate my business to what it is now. Like when I graduated college, this was not my plan by any means to be doing what I was doing. I am a terrible introvert. You know, I like to want to speak on stages to, you know, thousands of people, or do fitness modeling. Hell no. Like I was scared to death on camera. Like I get shaky, terrible introvert, you know. So some of the best things in my life came from the unknown, and embracing the unknown and jumping in. And because it was something that was new, and it was something that I couldn't predict either. So I would say for people to, you know, embrace the unknown. And, you know, that goes for everybody right now, because we're all in a place of unknown. But don't get to the end of your life and think, you know, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this. You know, we have get one shot. And if you're going to look back and regret not doing it, why wait? You know, be smart about the decisions you're making, but I say just go for it.
And I love that. And I think that most people, myself included, before I started my entrepreneurial journey, it was that I was more scared of risking what I had, which was really nothing, as opposed to risking what I didn't have. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot more risk on the other side, and folks just need to think about, you know, what they want and just really go for it. You know what I mean? And now is the time and the opportunity to really do some things that maybe they never had a chance at before. So
I would also add, you know, find a mentor, find someone who's done what it is that you're looking to do. For example, if you're wanting to get into real estate, or you're wanting to do another business startup, just doing it by yourself probably is a little bit scary and a little bit risky as well too. But if you can look up to or get advice from someone who's been in your shoes before, who's taken those risks before, who's come out better because of it, I mean, that's going to give you a lot of, that's going to help with a lot of the anxiety that you're feeling, of the risks. And it's also going to help you do things the right way. Most of these people who are coaches, I mean, they're able to help you, or, you know, they've had their mistakes and they're able to help navigate you in the direction that you need to go, that is going to ultimately help you be as successful as possible. So I think even just finding a mentor to help you, you know, start what it is that you're trying to start would be very smart as well. That's
so true. That is so true. So, well, Rachel, I'd like to say thank you for coming on the show today. I know that you're an extremely busy person, and so I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to share your knowledge and wisdom with our audience. How do folks find out more about you and the services that you offer? How can they reach you?
Yeah, so they can check out my website. It is rachelscheer.com. I'm sure you'll post a link. The Scheer,
absolutely.
Scheer is spelled SCH. Everyone always forgets the C. On there, you can see a list of my services. I do local nutrition counseling and coaching. However, with everything going on, I'm doing a lot of things virtually right now. I do also extensive lab testing if anyone's interested in that, since I'm more on the medical side of nutrition. You can find me on my social media, which is where I have my largest platform, Instagram. It's just at Rachel Scheer. You can see a lot of the different things and free posts free tips and you know, recipes and workout videos that I post on a day-to-day basis, as well as a lot of motivation.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks again, Rachel, for coming on today. We really appreciate it. Again, thanks again, everybody. Make sure to tune in to the link that we drop in below, rachelscheer.com. You know, now's the time, guys. Get your health right. You know, health is wealth. So thanks again, Rachel, for coming on. We appreciate you. And
thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate it, because I believe this is your story, and the things that you shared today with us, it is a great example of what you can accomplish even when you don't have any clue or the tools or resources necessary to succeed. So I think this is a great example right now for not only this audience, you know, but everybody out there who's trying to find solutions, who's trying to thrive in life, who's trying to figure out what to do with their life at this point in time and with all these situations. So I really appreciate you sharing your story. I think it's a really, really good example. And thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Take care.
See you next week, guys.